How's it going, guys? It's Pride here, back with part 12 of What If the Earthlings Were Strong? Last time, we left off with the Z Warriors on Earth managing to show great progress in their roads to becoming stronger in their own individual way. Towards the tail end of that, they were able to actually save the day against very powerful opponents thanks to the hard work that they put in throughout their 9 months of training. Also, during this crisis, they have shown even greater improvement, having revealing trump cards or unleashing their true power or gaining a whole new power that they have yet to comprehend. All in all, they still have room to improve, and thus their journey to becoming stronger has not yet ended. However, we will move on from there as we take a look at Piccolo's side of the story, and we see how well Piccolo has been doing for himself during these past months. Starting off from the day that he left the hyperbolic time chamber in order to go to New Namek and help out the Namekians there. Piccolo's goal is to teach the Namekians there how to fend for themselves, but who's to say that he won't learn some lessons of his own, lessons that will undoubtedly make him stronger. So with that out of the way, let's see Piccolo's side of the story. Piccolo has teleported to New Namek. The planet is still in disarray, and a lot of the villages are still being repaired, and wounded Namekians are still being looked after. Even though Piccolo has spent a year in the hyperbolic time chamber, in the real world's time, it's only been a few days since the Namekians were revived after Moro has invaded the land. So there is still much for them to do. Seeing this, Piccolo doesn't actually start off by going to the Grand Elder to talk about training regimens, but instead Piccolo uses this time and immediately gets to work with helping out the Namekians that he can see close by. Some of the Namekians that are around are clearly shocked to see another Namekian appear out of nowhere, but a lot of them do still remember who Piccolo was. Even though it has been a great number of years since they have last seen him on planet Earth, their memory is great and they cannot forget a person like Piccolo. After Piccolo makes his willingness to help known, they all get to work getting the land and the villages how it used to be, with some of the village elders contacting the Grand Elder Muri that Piccolo has arrived to help. The Grand Elder doesn't go to see Piccolo immediately because, just like Piccolo, he is prioritizing the people, leaving all the introductions for later once everything has been stabilized. And that doesn't take long, as the Namekians don't really need to sleep very often, if not at all, and all of them have amazing energy reserves, making it so they can work non-stop. So not even a week goes by before everything is basically back to normal. And that's when the Grand Elder and Piccolo finally have their meeting. The Grand Elder, upon seeing Piccolo, expresses his thanks for Piccolo in helping out the village and gives him a warm welcome as the lost nameless Namekian finally returning home. Piccolo saying, "Thank you, Grand Elder, for your hospitality and your kindness. I felt that it was about time that I checked up on the Namekians. And to be fair, I feel I have done you all a disservice. I have been focusing on my own strength too much, and I haven't thought about the Namekians as a whole. Truthfully, the Piccolo that first witnessed the destruction of our home planet was not as kind as I am now. I was stubborn, and I was not yet whole. But after reuniting with my other self in years of meditation, I've come to realize that it was an error in not helping the Namekians sooner. Especially seeing how Moro has proven that as long as the Dragon Ball exists, there is always a possibility that you all might be invaded. And I want you all to be ready for when that day comes." Grand Elder Moro, he says, "Piccolo, I know what you mean well, but do not feel sorry for not teaching us earlier. You do not owe us anything. We did not ask for your help, and this might come as a surprise to you, but even though Old Namek was our home, it is not where we as a race originated. In fact, we're not even originally from Universe 7, but we can talk about that later on. Now that you are here, and you have expressed your willingness to help us, I would be a fool to deny your request. I only want to remind you that you do not owe us anything. Nevertheless, now that you are here, I will ask, please lend us your guidance." And with that, Piccolo and the Grand Elder reach an agreement, and they get to know each other very well over the next 9 months as Piccolo begins a training regimen for all of the Namekians on New Namek. And there's a lot of interesting developments when it comes to the training that Piccolo designs for them. First off, Piccolo doesn't teach all the Namekians Kaioken. He feels that it's slightly disrespectful to start sharing a technique given from a god that he himself has not outright earned, especially without asking said god. But he does feel like Kaioken is too big of an asset to not have some of them be trained on it. So on the first day, Piccolo does reach out to King Kai and ask permission to at least train the elites on Kaioken. King Kai agrees, but only if Piccolo can manage to make him laugh. Piccolo knows what it takes. He has heard some relatively odd jokes on Earth. He does start spitting them out left and right to see if any of them gives a good chuckle to King Kai. Eventually, King Kai does laugh at a very terrible pun and gives his permission to Piccolo that he can teach the elites. So for the rest of the Namekians, the Dragon Clan and the Warrior Clan, they all do get the base fundamentals of spirit control. And along with this, Piccolo teaches them strategy and how to work as a unit, as he wants them to be able to work better together so that way they don't have to use fusion. But in case they do have to use it, one of the first things that he teaches the warrior Namekians is the spirit control ability fission, which allows you to separate ki from a person's body that wasn't originally theirs. And it does translate to defusing somebody. Piccolo does this for a number of reasons, one of which he doesn't want the already low population of the warrior clan to get even smaller because they're sacrificing themselves to get a power boost. He's hoping that the elites can get the Kaioken, and with that, that should be enough, and only use fusion as a last resort, almost like a forbidden technique that can only be used in dire strait. When it comes to the Dragon Clan members, Piccolo emphasizes on the healing abilities and even the cloning abilities. If they can split themselves up and can heal and support from a distance, the warriors will be almost permanently buffed and healed constantly, even when there's not that many Dragon Clansmen around. Truthfully, you just need one that can split themselves to the 10, and you have 10 good healers. The Dragon Clansmen and the Warrior Clan get very good at controlling their ki. Piccolo takes them through the steps of how to beat a more powerful adversary. Using himself as a base, he makes them often gang up on him and shows them ways where they could win if they work smarter, not harder. But even though Dragon Clan members are mostly a support role, he does give them offensive capability and makes sure that they can handle themselves so that way they're not easily dispatched, just in case the enemy or enemies break past the warrior's guard and attack the back line. One of the abilities is the special beam cannon that Piccolo teaches them. This is usually an equalizer that can usually beat those that are rightfully way stronger than the user of the technique. By the time that the months are over, both clans have the basics of spirit control down packed. And around halfway through the 9 months, there are a few Namekians that stand out, that he can classify them as elites and those that can further develop and lead the Namekians even when he's gone. Where he does miss Earth, and even from this distance can tell that there is some very intense training that the Z-Warriors are doing on Earth. He can sense their ki rise every once in a while, especially Gohan, but he doesn't have too much time to think about this as he is still focusing on training the rest of the Namekians, especially the 3 Namekians that has caught his eye. 2 of them are Dragon Clansmen, and one of them is a Warrior Clansman. One of the Dragon Clansmen especially stands out because Piccolo actually personally knows this one, as his name is Cargo, who is the younger brother of Dende. Cargo is very adept at healing magic and using his ki to heal those from very long distances. In fact, almost as well as a sensu being, with how fast he can heal someone up to full. And thanks to spirit control, he has a very high reserves of energy. And it seems like Cargo has a lot of other support type of abilities that has been awakened in him and that he's been improving his ki. One of the abilities being that he is able to decrease his own ki and increase someone else's, but it's not truly a one-to-one. It seems to be that he doesn't have to use all of his ki to even almost double someone else's ki output, which is great boon for the warriors that he might be supporting. The other Dragon Clan Namekian that is also unique is Tanta, who seems to be an offensive support Namekian, as he seems to be able to hold his own in most fights. With his vast ki control, he's able to utilize multiple ki attacks to offset the fact that he is just naturally weaker than the warrior clans, and has even won most fights against other warrior clans. And though he's not as good at healing as Cargo is, he's not a slouch in that field either. But though he can't buff as well as Cargo, he does have an interesting ability to control gravity around him, making it harder for people to get closer to him and fight at full power. Basically, his debuff abilities pertains to slowing down his opponents via gravity, while he bombards them with multiple ki attacks and using spirit clone with maximum efficiency. Now, the warrior clansman, Maima, is also very interesting, as he seems to have an ability to really buff himself. He's carried a very good liking to the gigentification technique. As it turns out, while spirit control can turn you giant, Piccolo finds out that the Namekians really don't naturally turn giant like he did previously in his earlier life. It seems to have been the demon part of his biology that allowed him to get that big and enter a giant form, which enhanced his strength. Upon hearing this, Maima used spirit control to substitute that ability to get big, but also was replicating the fact that Piccolo apparently did get stronger physically, and Maima has found a way to boost his physical aspects to a higher degree. Not his ki, however, like Kaioken or Super Saiyan, but only boosts his physical power, which is still a great boon. Also, Maima has a surprising large amount of ki, more so than most other Dragon Clansmen, who on average usually are the ones that have a lot of ki. But in this short amount of months, he has improved, being able to fight Tanta to a standstill most of the time, and even one occasion winning against Tanta. So with this 3 elite now selected, Piccolo decides to teach all of them Kaioken, even though 2 of them are Dragon Clansmen. The reason he does this is because Kaioken does increase all abilities by equal proportion. Kairo has a hard time using Kaioken. His body's just not physically able to maintain it, but with the tutelage of Piccolo, they have been able to get Cargo up to about Kaioken times 5, with Tenta going all the way to Kaioken times 20, and Maima getting all the way to Kaioken times 40. Maima is truly a physical specimen, as not only is his ability to get stronger is absurd, but his endurance and defense abilities physically is also astonishing. And during all these months, Piccolo has also learned a thing or two about spirit control and Kaioken, which has made him even better at both the techniques, the same way Yamcha was able to get better simply by teaching others and working his way through the flaws. So Piccolo has gotten better in both fields by a huge margin, which is great because he plans on doing one last thing before he leaves New Namek, something he knows that might erase a good amount of progress that he has gained. The time draws near where Piccolo feels like he has taught everybody enough and gave them the tools to improve on their own, while also learning a lot about his Namekian heritage, about how apparently his father, Katus, has helped against an internal war with the Namekian people and even saved Piccolo by sending him to Earth, even towards the fact about how the original Dragon Balls were created and the Namekians aren't from either Universe 6 or 7. They just migrated there. In fact, they're from a whole different universe. Though with the information they have gotten, it seems that the universe they originally came from might not exist anymore, which is a troubling fact for Piccolo to have learned. He learns a couple more things about the Namekians that he had no clue about. Not truly important information, but nice information to know nonetheless. But the day has finally arrived for Piccolo to leave. And on this day, the Grand Elder says that he has a gift for Piccolo for helping them out this far. But before the Grand Elder can give Piccolo his gift, Piccolo says, "Actually, I have a gift of my own." As Piccolo decides to use the spirit control fission on himself and defuses Nail from his body. Nail comes out whole, but he has all the information that Piccolo had while they were fused, meaning that Nail knows how to use Kaioken, spirit control, and all the other techniques that Piccolo has ever learned. Because Nail was the warrior clansman, his strength has instantly been increased by a substantial amount. However, this was still a sacrifice for Piccolo, as his energy has dropped and his physical capabilities has also dropped, but not to the degree that he thought it would have. It seemed like his fusion with Kami and making him the nameless Namekian whole again has helped out greatly. And thanks to all the training that he has done and everything that he has learned from the Namekians that he has trained, Piccolo isn't too worse for wear. So in a straight up fight, Piccolo is substantially weaker than what he was a moment ago. Maybe even losing in a fight of pure bronze against Maima. But good things come with the bad, as Piccolo's spirit and control has also risen to new heights. It's almost as if now that he is no longer a warrior clansman, his Dragon Clan ability has started to bloom anew. The abilities that he has shunted most of his life until recently is surfacing, and he has an instinctual awareness of some of the things that he can now do that he wasn't really able to do before. While everybody is astonished and surprised to see Nail back, Grand Elder looks over at Piccolo and starts thanking Piccolo and knowing the sacrifice and how hard that must have been for Piccolo to do. But Piccolo truly has no regrets about what he has just done, which makes the Grand Elder's decision even more worthwhile doing, as the Grand Elder places his hand on Piccolo and proceeds to unlock Piccolo's true potential. Thanks to the spirit control, his abilities have unlocked even further, and he has gained the ability to unlock other people's potential. He's kept this on the wraps because he wanted Piccolo to be the first person to receive this gift before he starts giving it out to the elites and those that are worthy of this power. It is truly a joyous day for the Namekian, even on the day that Piccolo must depart. He is getting very homesick, as he does consider Earth to be his true home, where he has lived there all his life. Unbeknownst to Piccolo, Grand Elder Mori has another surprise in store for him, as he has the Dragon Balls in his home ready to be used to give Piccolo a free wish. Maybe even ask the dragon to recognize Piccolo as the savior of the people. But he has not told Piccolo about the Dragon Ball's secret ability. But unbeknownst to them all, there is someone watching this joyous occasion, but not sharing in the spirit. There is someone watching from the shadows with green skin just like them, but an aura far, far darker. Next to that person is Tanta, also looking on at the crowd in a sneering tone, their keys concealed, and no one knows that they're there. The person looks over at Tanta and says, while they're distracted, this would be a good time to distract. Tanta says, these fools don't know what they're doing, siding with that traitor Piccolo. Well, if they don't see reason, then I don't see why they should stay alive. Then another figure arrives from the shadows as a portal opens up, as he steps forward, as the figure says, Gamelin, Tanta, ready yourselves, for it is time we make our appearance. After our talk, if these fools don't see reason, then we will do what we must to take them to our side, but that being called Piccolo. He dies today. I can sense it from here. His very essence means that he cannot be on our side, for we are the ones that kill gods. So that means he has to die. And with that, we'll end this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and comment down below. I'll be back and stay tuned for it very well could be an all-out war. I'll see you guys later. Peace.